Radiohead. What is Radiohead? There is a small but growing faction of agents, researchers and guardians who are disgruntled because they think that the agency should use more of its resources in order to combat the monsters that prey on humanity. And for the most part, the agency has always tried to keep a light touch on how far it was willing to go to destroy threats. There are a lot of dangerous items and creatures in agency custody. Ones that, if let loose, can combat things that our field agents aren't able to handle. This faction also has the support of one or more of the council members, but the majority of the council disagree. The agency's goal has always been able to protect humanity. Aside from the rare examples, there has been a generalized rule to minimize the use of preternatural items or creatures. Because how can the agency protect humans if the members stop being human? A lot of the information can corrupt even the most just man or woman into complete monsters. Losing agents to the machinations of rival organizations like the company or to diabolical abominations like the Siren Heads have made this faction's voice loud, especially due to the evil that the multi-headed Siren Head has wrought upon the world. This creature has been made a priority for the agency. Find any way possible to kill it, because so far human technology has failed to contain it. Soon a plan was put into place, one that stretched the limits of what the agency felt comfortable doing, stretching its mandate to not use the power collected. One senior researcher had pitched a plan, one that sounded crazy but was tentatively approved. So, using the information and notes of one of the agency's enemies, the Doctor, an attempt was made to create a hunter that could track down and kill any Siren Head it encountered. The creature was created using the biological pieces of Siren Heads that were collected in the field, either from being wounded by agents or in one of the many tassels it has with the long horse. The plan was to combine the DNA of the creature along with the DNA of a senior agent, one that had lost everything to Siren Head and went on a vengeance suicide run against one such monster, a quest that ended in her death. So the creature was born, and for a while it worked as planned. It was able to hunt, injure and drive off Siren Heads it encountered. There was hope, and then it went wrong and many more agents were killed, or worse, lost in the process. So the project was scrapped, judged to be too dangerous to actually implement. But a faction of the agency felt things had promised, so they requested to make another attempt, this time without using human DNA. It was theorized that it was the human DNA that let the first hunter be so easily corrupted. The project was approved once again, but this time with many, many more safeguards. It was probably for the best that human DNA was not used in the next generation of hunters, because what was done to it, quite frankly, was inhumane, on a scale that would make the most die-hard soldier sick to their stomach. The researchers in charge of the project took many samples of creatures in containment picking and choosing which ones could be used based on their abilities and containment levels. And instead of using a sample from the multi-headed Siren Head, they took lots of samples from the corpse of the yellow Siren Head. It had been killed previously by an agent getting very lucky in their encounter. Using the Doctor's notes and information from the company, the agency had created a new creature. There were also multiple levels of safe measures implanted into the creature in case it went rogue. Eventually, the next hunter was created. For archival purposes, it had been dubbed Radiohead. This was because the final result, instead of looking like it had sirens for a head, it looked like it had a radio for a cranium, especially with the implants that were implanted looking like antennas. And instead of sending Radio Hunter out into the wild or even to known Siren Head nests, there was a different plan to utilize Radiohead. Instead of making it able to directly attack Siren Head, Radiohead is used mainly for first locating Siren Heads. It is able to tune into their unique frequencies, and once it has those, Radiohead is able to locate the Siren Head and keep real-world tracking of where it goes, or if it approaches populated areas. Just being able to have a more detailed method of locating the creatures has aided our containment operations exponentially. Lessons were learned that using the Siren Head to fight a Siren Head is just an idea doomed to failure. But if you can locate and isolate the Siren Heads, Radiohead, once getting both a location and a lock onto a Siren Head's unique signature, can broadcast a counter signal. This signal does is daze and nauseate the Siren Head, whose signal Radiohead has analyzed, doing so by broadcasting a counter signal that will interfere with the Siren Head's unique biology. Not only will the signal be broadcast by the Radiohead in person, it'll piggyback over actual radio signals and use them as carrier signals to increase the range of the projected sound. The sound itself was heavily tested, and not only is it unbearable to human ears, it doesn't do anything to affect humans at all. Recording the Radiohead signal and having them constantly playing in as many places as possible has proven to work as well. It is the agency's hope to keep the creatures isolated and too ill to do anything. The only downside is that Radiohead needs a long time to analyze the signal for a siren head, and it can only do so by using the samples the agency has collected over various operations. But what is going on is to continue to test Radiohead. If it has proven to be a valuable asset, more will be developed, and the result will be to weaken the siren heads and keep them contained where they found. There is also the issue that trying multi-heads signal has proven to be too complex to actually counter signal. Thus, there is the very real fear that doing so, even if we did have a counter signal, will do nothing but gain the creature's attention. A scenario that no one actually wants to have. So there is hesitance to go further with Radiohead, even with the calls to send it out into the field. The results of last time it was done still speaks too loud in the memory, which is why there are multiple explosives that have been in its body, including 2 cranial bombs. Yes, inhuman, but one shouldn't mess around with such a dangerous experiment. It's a worry, though, that this is the first step of a slippery slope of the agency. Only time will tell.